Yes, he was the key driver and instigator and processor and you name it. So that's why I just don't have any words what I could call him. But anyways, Mr. Gary Elgott.
What a BSer. He was a politician by a level. I don't know if I could do this. I had a little trouble this afternoon. We had a little bit of a village thing over at the park for my dad, and I had some trouble with that. But really, we started this in November, and as you've all heard, this was a cooperative effort. We had to do it this year because there wasn't any time left. The 30 years is from the date the village was incorporated. That really, as you know, the village is older than that. But we had to do it, and then we got together, and I said, that's easy, that's no problem. We can call some people, and I called some people and key people, and you know, they've been mentioned, Deb Nazachuk, Ralph Feenstra, there's all a bunch, and they all came together and it happened. But I like to really think of Derwent as the old days. And I can't get into that because I'd go on forever. I hope that some of you might know of somebody out here in the crowd that you can make mention of, because we want to recognize our former residents, our seniors who are out there. One in particular I'd like to bring your attention to, who worked in the store down at the hardware store for G.J. Elgott, my grandfather, is his daughter, Mrs. Ellen Curry, who worked here in 1932. She's right there. Mrs. Murray Miller out of Vermilion, his mother is featured in a picture of the train, the first commercial train, September 10th, 1928. It was headed east. She's on the cow catcher, Mrs. Carmelita Miller. She was going to come tonight. Unfortunately, she couldn't. She's in Vermilion. But that was the train that was headed east, the first one. The first train that headed west, Auntie Ellen was on it on its construction time in the fall of 1927. So we had these two pictures of the railroad, and the two ladies that were on it were there, and it was just great history. Actually, what I should have done to start with, I should have been very formal and said, dignitaries, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. But just to get back to the honored guest part, really, there they are, you know, there they are. They're all here. You people who have a connection to Derwent, you are the honored guests, and you're here. You're all homecomers, and we're glad to have you. And you've made this a great weekend. It's been great, and I'm on a high. I'm still going. I tell you, I just love it. But to move along, I want to call on a couple of guys. I'd like to start with Mr. Gene Lemiski.
At 4 o'clock this afternoon, after paying my way to get here, Gary found me and said, I want you to say a few words. That was a good greeting. Anyway, I'm very thankful to Gary, and I'm very happy that I'm allowed to say a couple of words. He said, keep it down to 3 minutes. So I will. 3 minutes for the introduction, 3 for the speech, and 3 for the ending of the speech. Anyway, I'm not a Derwentite. I pioneered here in 1948 after marrying my wife Ann, whose dad and mother had the red and white store across the street. And I always say this, and after he got to know me for 6 months, he had a heart attack. He went to Edmonton, and we came out to run the store. And I had 2.5 years of the most pleasant experience in my life here in Derwent. Arriving in about January the 30th, I knew Clarence Elgott, Gary's father. I knew, and so after settling in, I went next door to say hi to Clarence, and he said, oh, hi, are you here to stay? I said, yep. He said, well, we're having a Board of Trade meeting on Tuesday, which is about 3 or 4 days away. He said, why don't you come? I did. And I was appointed secretary of the Board of Trade that very night. Derwent in those days was probably at its peak. It had a lumber yard, 3 garages, 4 implement dealers. They had, I think, 7 or 8 stores, and a real vibrant community. The farmers hadn't started selling out like they are, to make themselves big farmers like they are today. Winters were, that winter was so damn cold, and you know, you wonder, we had a 4-room school, and because we had 3 or 4 very cold winters in a row, they decided to build a new school, and that school was the 8-room school. So Derwent was a very productive area. A lot of fun. We had all the merchants in town were kind of friends, and when I got here, they were just putting the last nail in the new curling rink, and then it was late. All buildings are built late, opened late rather, and then the next thing, we were down there making ice for the curling rink. We put a pump in, had to pump the water with a pump jack, and we got about half the ice in when we had a blizzard, and the pump jack broke. And guess who went out to fix it? Gary's dad, Mike McSemitz, myself, and somebody else. Those are the memories that were dear to my heart. And without going any further, I would like to say that I'm very pleased to be here. The town was at its peak. Everybody was really hustling and bustling, and the highway hadn't gone through yet. That was the key. Once the highway went through, then people started disappearing. However, the town has managed to stay together, and you can tell by all you people here, there isn't a frown in the house. Everybody's very happy, and this is why we're having this party today. Thank you very much.
Ken Bobber.